First, I really want everyone to understand Chevron holds the distinction as pretty much the worst corporate actor when it comes to the environment and human rights worldwide. It has been recognized time and again by the human rights and environmental community as the worst actor, not only because of the violations that it commits, but because of its strategy to ignore local laws, to attack the very people that it harms deliberately, to undermine those who try to defend them, to intimidate, harass, threaten, and ignore local laws where it operates. In the Richmond refinery case, just one example, in 2012, the Chevron refinery exploded, sending 15,000 people who live in Richmond to the hospital. Now, these are mostly communities of color who live near the refinery, and they have been fighting to stop the emissions and the environmental violations committed by the refinery for years. And despite that fact, Chevron was criminally negligible by the EPA. Their refinery blew up, and instead of supporting the community, they actually invested millions of dollars in a local election in Richmond to try to undermine their city council and elect only Chevron-friendly members of their local government, because the grassroots efforts there to try to hold them accountable, to restrict their refinery, to have the Air Resources Board oversee the emissions and the violations was a threat to Chevron. So rather than pay to clean up, rather than make their refinery compliant, rather than help the community that they were systematically poisoning, they tried to undermine the local government there so they could get away without actually doing what was responsible. And this is a pattern for this company everywhere it operates. And it has set the standard for violating human rights and environment. And that is why it has been deemed over and over again to be the worst of the worst. Iran finds somebody who is trying to call them to account. They intimidate them, or they bribe them, or they threaten them, or they sue them in another venue. And that's why doing business with Chevron is so dangerous, because they have demonstrated that local laws are meaningless to them. So when the local laws go against them, they disregard them, pull their assets out, and then use other legal mechanisms to try to evade justice. And that's fundamentally the issue that people should understand here, that the strategy that Chevron continues to employ is they will never accept responsibility and pay for whatever they have done.
אם אני פונה למקביל שלי בארצות הברית ושואל אותו על חברת שברון, והוא אומר לי שהיא חברה גדולה ומקובלת, מבחינתי זה מספיק.
זה מספיק, באמת?
וברגע שיגיעו אלינו עובדות ונתונים קשים, אז אני מניח שאנחנו נפעל.
קודם כל, שנייה, אני רוצה לחדד. כלומר, ברגע שהתחיל המשא ומתן עם שברון, אתם פניתם למקבילים שלכם במשרד האנרגיה האמריקאי, ושאלתם אותו איך שברון, הוא אמר סבבה, ואמרתם, אוקיי, אחלה. זה בערך ככה זה עבד.
אני פניתי, כן. אני בדרך כלל עובד מול בוהם, ופניתי אליהם וביקשתי לדעת מה קורה, ואמרו לי שהחברה היא חברה מוכרת, יש להם רקורד בסך הכל בארצות הברית, שברון. אז חברת שברון היא חברה ידועה ומקובלת בעולם, ואנחנו לא יכולים להטיל דופי בחברה בגלל איזושהי כתבה בעיתון או בגלל דברים אחרים.